With prices of pretty much everything higher because of inflation, it may come as no surprise that money is Americans' #1 source of anxiety. Are you there? A poll by the American Psychiatric Association says money woes, particularly when it comes to inflation, are causing the most stress among Americans. The poll surveyed more than 2,000 Americans, and it found 9 out of 10 people are either anxious or very anxious about inflation. Half of Americans are concerned about a possible loss of income. All of this financial stress can have such a huge impact on our mental health, but not just our mental health. Joining us now to talk more about inflation anxiety is one of my favorite people to talk to, Dr. Michele Nealon, president of the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And this was the call. I was like, we have to talk to you about this. It doesn't surprise me because you look back in history and it's the thing our parents worried about was money, making ends meet, et cetera, et cetera. So it probably should come as no surprise that with the economy the way it is and inflation the way it is, that it's worrying people.
It is, and good morning to one of my favorite people. Good morning,
Good morning.
Michaela. Always nice to see you. Yes, you know, if you recall some time back, you and I talked about the social determinants of our health. And those are things such as food insecurity or housing, etc., that crumble down not only on our mental health and well-being, but also can make us sick physically. And that's what's going on right now for so many people. The study you cited said especially for Hispanic adults, for women, millennials, and our young Gen Zs. It's causing stress, it's causing day-by-day anxiety, and it's also causing some to tip into real mental health distress as well.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second, because we also know that when you have stress like this, especially for prolonged periods, that can also, not only does it affect your mental well-being, but it can also talk about that mind-body connection, right? Because it will have a physical impact on us.
A real physical impact. And in fact, it is estimated that 75 to 90% of human disease is caused by chronic stress. Think about that, Michaela. It's huge. It really talks about the impact of stress in 4 ways. One is on us emotionally. So for example, we're feeling more overwhelmed, we're perhaps more moody and irritable every day. It also impacts us behaviorally. So maybe we are fidgeting more, or we're turning to maybe alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes a little bit more than we normally would in order to soothe our stress. But it also impacts us in the area of how we think. So it's more difficult to concentrate, stay focused, to get things done. And then that physical piece, everything from headaches to upset stomachs, to not sleeping very well, all the way to chronic inflammation, a breakdown in our immune system. So that's why when we're under stress, we start feeling like we've got more and more stomach aches, headaches, and even common colds. We're just broken down. There's a lot goes on inside our body. There's chronic stress, and it breaks us down.
You know, it can be a slippery slope too, right? You may have noticed in somebody in your family, like in the house, right, that they're maybe not sleeping, and then it starts to be, they're getting more testy, and it's affecting their relationships. Or maybe this is even you. Maybe you're sitting at home and listening to Dr. Nealon, and you're like, check, check, check. This is me. So that's the first thing we do, right, is acknowledge we have a problem here. What is the next best step, Dr. Nealon? You always give us such good counsel.
Well, and before I say what can we do here, you're exactly right. I want to really double down on that. It can affect everyone. I get stressed. You get stressed.
Oh, honey.
Every single human being gets stressed. We have acute stress and we have chronic stress. It happens to all of us. And we don't need to be ashamed or embarrassed about it. We're just human beings. We're more alike than we are different. So what can we do? You just named one. We need to become aware of what is stress, of how stress is different from anxiety or even can lead to it. So raising our awareness, becoming our own self-experts, if you will. Real easy to do that. Jump on Google, read about stress, read about the symptoms, so raise awareness. You know, we've got loved ones in our lives. We all have families and friends that we can turn to for support. It's very difficult, especially for women, but not just women, to ask for help. But when we are worried about putting food on the table, or we're worried about how we're living paycheck to paycheck, turn to family,
Talk
put
it
aside
through, right? You know, it's interesting. I have a friend, I have a girlfriend that I don't know how this started, but we always ask each other, so what's keeping you up at night? I mean, that's a good way to do a check-in and also sort of put it out on the table. Sometimes when you examine these things, they don't feel as much like the boogeyman under the bed as they are when they're just locked up in your own head, right?
That's exactly right. We don't feel so alone. I oftentimes say to my friends, how's it going? And they're like, oh, good, fine. And I say, yes, thanks for that. And how's it going? So we're doubling down and checking on people. But we can also turn to community organizations. If we're worried about finances, and if we're worried especially about the inflation and how we're going to make it day by day, turn to community-based organizations for food assistance, rent assistance, utility assistance. If you're able to, this is the time to get a financial advisor. Get some help over the short, medium, and long term. This time in our lives will pass, but you know, best to plan for it in that regard. And as I always say, if you are recognizing day after day, you're feeling worse and worse, don't do this alone. Reach out and find a mental health specialist in order to give you the support and care that you need.
And we want to just point out and remind you that, you know, that there's local resources that LA County has, the other counties have them. Don't feel that you have to go this alone. Please don't feel that way. Dr. Michele Nealon, I want to thank you for all that you have done to make these conversations so meaningful and impactful. And I know you will continue to be someone that we turn to here on Good Day LA. I may be leaving a week. Friday is my last day, but I hope that our friendship will continue, and I hope you'll continue to do the great work here and share your wisdom with our viewers going on for a long time still.
Well, Michele, you're an absolute darling, and we will stay connected. And I want to tell you that I really praise you for raising awareness of mental health issues. It is leaders and role models like you that bring these conversations to the table, that helps destigmatize all of these social issues, the mental health issues. And I just wish we had more people in the public eye just like you that would do this. So congratulations to you. You've done us all a tremendous service.
That's beyond kind, and my word, look, it's not, the onus is on all of us, I'll just say, and I'm glad to have been able to shine a light on it, and I will continue to in the work I do, whatever comes next. Good to see you, Dr. Nealon. We'll connect offline. Brooke, over to you.